Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about a very powerful chapter, that is Women, Caste and Reform. And before we begin, I want you to imagine life in India about 200 years ago. Today many girls go to school, study with boys, even become doctors, engineers, IAS officers, and they can vote, choose their own partners, and widows can remarry. But go back 2 centuries, life was completely different. Back then, most girls were married off at a very young age. Both Hindu and Muslim men could have more than one wife. And if a husband died, in some places, people praised women who burnt themselves on his funeral fire. She was called Sati, meaning a virtuous woman. Can you imagine the pressure, the fear, the pain? Women had no rights to property, no education, and many believed that if a woman studied, she would become a widow, as if learning was a sin. As if learning was a sin. Society was also deeply divided by caste. That is like upper caste such as Brahmins and Kshatriyas. Then Vaishyas, means traders and moneylenders. Then comes Shudras. They are peasants and artisans. And at the bottom, those who were considered as untouchables. They could not enter temples, could not draw water from public wells, and could not walk in the same paths. And upper castes considered them polluting. These inequalities were normal, then nobody questioned them. But slowly new ideas came. A wind of change started blowing across the country. Now, working towards the change. Now the question is, how did change start? A big reason was the arrival of print culture. That is books, newspapers, magazines, pamphlets, and for the first time, common people could read ideas, discuss them publicly, and challenge traditions. And in this environment emerged great Indian reformers who said, society must change, wrong practices must end. One such person was Rajaram Mohan Roy. He started the Brahmo Sabha, later called the Brahmo Samaj. Rajaram Mohan Roy strongly believed in women deserved freedom and they needed education, and also sati was cruel and must end. He studied ancient Sanskrit and Persian texts and proved that sati was not supported anywhere in ancient scriptures. British officials were already criticizing India's custom, and Rajaram scholarship convinced them. Finally, in 1829, sati was officially banned, and remember, Rajaram Mohan Roy's method became the strategy for all future reformers. After Ram Mohan Roy, another hero emerged, that is Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. He used ancient texts to prove that widows could remarry. Because of his campaign, the Widow Remarriage Act was passed in 1856. But even after the law, society resisted. Widows who remarried were boycotted, and still reform movements spread. Veerasalingam Pantulu in Madras Presidency, young reformers in Bombay, and Swami Dayananda Saraswati's Arya Samaj in the north. Change was slow, but the seeds were planted. Next, girls began going to school. Reformers believed that education was the key. But when the first girls' school opened in the mid-1800s, people were terrified. They said, girls must stay at home, schools will corrupt them, and how can girls walk through public streets? So most educated women initially studied at home secretly, learning to read and write. Remember Rasundari Devi? She learned secretly at night by candlelight, hiding pages of books inside the kitchen. Later, many organized schools opened. Vidyasagar in Calcutta and Jyotirao Phule in Maharashtra and Arya Samaj in Punjab. By the late 19th century, Urdu novels were written so women could learn to read at home. Next, by the early 20th century, educated women started speaking for themselves. The Begums of Bhopal set up schools. Begum Rokeya Shakawat Hussain started schools for Muslim girls in Patna and Calcutta and challenged conservative leaders. Women entered universities. In some became doctors, other teachers. Writers like Tarabai Shinde wrote Shri Purush Tulna, a comparison between men and women, and Pandita Ramabai exposed the suffering of upper caste women, started a home for widow in Pune. Their voices shook society. Orthodox groups were frightened. Women are copying the West. Family values will collapse. But change could not be stopped. Women began forming organizations demanding right to vote, better health care, and better education. National leaders like Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose supported them. They promised full voting rights after independence, which we achieved. Next, caste and social reform. Reformers also fought against caste discrimination. Rajaram Mohan Roy translated old Buddhist texts challenging caste. The Pratana Samaj and Paramahans Mandali worked to abolish caste distinction. Christian missionaries set up schools for tribal and lower caste children. Cities offered new jobs such as cleaners, laborers, factory workers, and lower castes moved away from villages and escaping humiliation. Many joined the army, like the Mahar regiment where Ambedkar's father served, and slowly lower caste began organizing themselves. Movement emerged such as Satnami movement in central India by Ghasidas. The movements emerged such as Satnami movement in central India by Ghasidas, and Matwa movement in Bengal by Haridas Thakur and Sri Narayana Guru in Kerala, who said one caste, one religion, one God for humankind. The goal was self-respect and equality. Next one, Gulamgiri by Jyotirao Phule. Among the strongest voices was Jyotirao Phule. Born in 1827, he attacked the idea that Brahmins were superior. He argued that Aryans were outsiders who enslaved the original people of India, the lower caste and peasants. He founded the Satyashodak Samaj to fight caste discrimination. In 1873, he wrote Gulamgiri, meaning slavery, and dedicated it to Americans who fought to free black slaves. He connected caste discrimination in India to slavery in America. His movement was later carried forward by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and also E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. Ambedkar grew up facing bitter caste discrimination. He could not sit inside the classroom. After studying in USA, he returned in 1919 and wrote extensively against caste. In 1927, he launched a temple entry movement to challenge caste barriers. Upper caste priests were outraged, but Ambedkar continued boldly. His struggle became the backbone of the Dalit movement. Next one, non-Brahman movement. In early 20th century, non-Brahman who gained education and influence challenged Brahmin dominance. The most powerful leader was Periyar. He left the Congress when he saw caste discrimination at a nationalist feast. He started the self-respect movement, arguing that untouchables are true inheritors of Dravidian culture. They must reject religious authority that teaches inequality. He criticized scriptures like Manusmriti, Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana for supporting caste and patriarchy. Upper caste groups responded by forming organizations and defending caste traditions, and the debate continues even today. So friends, this chapter shows us how courageous Indians fought against injustice, how women raised their voices and how Dalits challenged oppression, and how social reform built the foundation for modern India. The struggle was long and painful, but it gave us the education, equality, freedom and dignity, and this journey is still continuing. So I will stop here. I will upload next unit in coming days. Till then, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel.